All right. Welcome to Storylab. This is a channel where I'm sharing my journey to become one of the best storytellers of our generation. Today, we're going to take a look inside my mind for a new story that I'm thinking about telling, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it. So, if you're a fan of music, following the release of Future and Metro Boomin's project, We Don't Trust You, Kendrick left the rap game in shambles with his verse on Like That. I mean, there was a frenzy. My TL was nothing but Future this, Metro that, Drake shoot back. J. Cole is locked in, he's coming, and Kendrick has done it again. The ongoing conversation now for about a week and a half, it feels like so much longer, but it's only been a week and a half, has been, what will Drake's reply be? What will J. Cole's reply be? The storylines write themselves, honestly, but the tone of most hip hop and music correspondents have taken the range anywhere from emotionally detached lyrical analysis to conspiratorial Machiavellian schemes, which that's the part that I'm a big fan of. As a music fan, it's a beautiful thing to watch. As a writer, it's honestly been kind of inspiring, and I want to explain that bit. Also, if you want to get updates after this episode on what I actually do write or come up with, feel free to like and subscribe. All right, now that I have that out of the way, so today I was listening to the Joe Budden podcast where they were discussing this topic, and the cast was using different language to describe what was happening. Some of the specific quotes were, Kendrick is not the type to jump into war unprepared. He has the artillery on standby. This was in reference to Aiden Ross alleging that Kendrick has another track ready to go. Joe asked the question of what would happen if we see one of these guys get unalived lyrically. I think that's the YouTube friendly way to say that. What if we see Apollo Creed in Rocky 2? He walks in like the champ or being the champ, and then he ends up getting obliterated. Like, if he dies, he dies. The language used early in the episode got me thinking. And by the way, this is never a good sign. You never want me in this space, or maybe you do. We'll see if you like what it actually came up with, because my writer brain immediately gets involved and thinks of the wildest scenarios like, what if? This sequence of events had a Game of Thrones-like a spin on it. What would it look like to have the big three that Kendrick unsubscribed himself from and established himself as the apex of rap were lords of different sovereign lands? I know, weird, but follow me. What if Kendrick's feature was like him setting up an armed battalion at the border of the one state that has yet to be conquered? What if this one state doesn't have a name, but there's a throne? And whomever sits on that throne is regarded as the king over all sovereign lands. I think you're tracking with me. What if you can only keep the throne by maintaining a defensible position around the land? What if, and we'll add some aristocratic titles here, Duke Lamar actually took the throne because he currently remains uncontested and is now known through the lands as King Kendrick? What if there was some sort of treaty that was just out there that Kendrick violated, and now those who are part of the treaty, Sir Jermaine and Lord Aubrey, have no choice but to retaliate? What if each sovereign land possessed different artillery, mass casualty events versus surgical strikes? What if there were alliances forming simply to dethrone King Kendrick? What if Sir Jermaine and Lord Aubrey's recently fruitful peacetime trade agreement is now in danger thanks to the actions of the newly crowned king? What if the king preemptively strikes at the lands of his now disparaged lords to either further incite retaliation or simply inflict damage that neither could recover from? What if Sir Jermaine does not come to the aid of Lord Aubrey? And all of this is separate from the machinations of Lord Hendrixx and Baron Boomin, who conspired with the formerly titled Duke Lamar to aid in his conquest for the throne. what if? This is also nothing to say of Lord Aubrey's loss of allies to the south, such as Earl Ross from the County of Dade. What of the maiden in question that has been speculated as the cause for Lord Hendrixx to pick up arms against Lord Aubrey to begin with? What of her intimations? What of her intentions? Is there a greater force at work as suggested by Sir Cube to dismantle and wreak havoc across all lands? Could this be a play by the baddie industrial complex to maintain power? Or is this a rogue agent? There are simply so many ways that this story could unfold. This is where my mind went 18 minutes into the podcast. I think it's a fun idea. I'll try to pursue, but let me know, would this actually be interesting, or is it too kitschy? Is it just lame or whatever? What would you change though? If it wasn't, what would you change? Or what would you add? What needs to be in the story? What could we live without? What details could we live without? Remember, this is Game of Thrones inspired. Well, the game of a single throne, but you get what I mean. There needs to be misdirection, drama, influences in the shadows. Is there a Cersei character, minus the incestual proclivities, who will do anything to maintain power? Or perhaps there is a Daenerys who will do what she must to claim what she believes is rightfully hers. Is that the Kendrick character, or is that the Jermaine character, or is that the Drake character, or is there an unknown person who rises to the top and tries to do the same? And to be honest, Game of Thrones was the only show that came to mind initially, but there are definitely other influences this could pull from, even more modern or recent examples like Shogun, which is so beautifully done. The writing is great, and there's just so many delicate intricacies in this show of misdirection, of subtle hints that make it really good, and that could be part of this story. Or, perhaps Shadow and Bone, which is based off a book that's on Netflix, or maybe even more sci-fi examples like The Expanse or Foundation. Anyways, this is where my brain went. This is what was happening in there. If you're interested in following up on this video and what I might write or the story that I might tell, like I mentioned, feel free to like and subscribe and enable notifications to be kept up to date. Honestly, I just want to say thank you for wandering into my mind. Hopefully it wasn't as terrifying of a place as I perceive it to be. Other than that, I'll see you on the next one. Take care.